One of the things that happens when you work at a theme park is you tend to collect a lot of stuff. Pamphlets, backstage handouts, and in my case, pins. If you've watched my channel much, you know that I tend to collect a lot of things from theme parks. Brochures, maps, backstage pamphlets, and all sorts of different stuff. But one of the things that working at Disney World in particular really got me hooked on was pins. There are literally tens of thousands of different kinds of Disney pins that you can get. From official ones that you can buy in the parks, limited editions, special places you can buy them, fantasy pins, which are made by people on their own, fakes and scrappers, and all sorts of other stuff. So I want to show you a little bit of some of the ones I've collected, including, in particular, the cast member only pins, because there are certain pins that Disney only sells to cast members as special limited editions just for them. And yes, I've collected a number of those when I worked there as well as over time. But I also want to answer a couple other questions that I get asked a lot, like, how do you tell the difference between a real pin and a fake pin? So I'm going to kind of try and talk about both of those, show you my official cast member pins that I've got, and then we'll talk a little bit about how to recognize a real pin versus a fake pin or a scrapper and what the difference is there. So these are 3 of my binders that I use for collecting pins. I've actually got 7 binders full of pins now, plus a number that don't quite fit into the binders. But I wanted to let you take a look at some of my special cast member pins, and then I'm going to talk about the reals and the fakes. So this purple one has my pins from Disneyland Paris that I bought. So those are right here on top, the first couple pages. But then I get into my Disney cast member pins. And these are ones that, again, were cast member exclusives. You could only buy them while you were working at the parks. And now the Club 33 is actually one that my sister bought for me. But the rest of these are all pins that I bought as a cast member. And most of them you can see are holiday pins or special events, Disney's anniversaries, Christmas, and then holidays around the world and cars. So there were some that I bought just because I plain liked the pin. But a lot of these actually had special events, like the 25th anniversary of Epcot, opening up Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor. And then a couple of these I was given as well. This one was also a gift. But these are all basically cast pins that you can only buy as a cast member. And this one here actually rotates, so it's got a hotel sign. The Earning Your Ears, every cast member knows about Earning Your Ears. And these are... many of them are just kind of a special memory for me because of what I was doing when I bought the pin and what they represent. And again, there's some on the cards, again, Earning My Ears again, Figment, because I love Figment, and give you an idea of some of what is out there. And of course, 4th of July, there was a whole series of those, and I wish I'd gotten a couple more, but didn't quite finish it because I didn't have many. And of course, being the photographer, I got to get the photo pins there. Lights, Motors, Action, which is no longer there, and a couple Stitches, and the Dave Smith collection, a lot of those are just for cast members, singing at Epcot. So that gives you an idea of a few of them. And then in this book, I have kind of the loose pins that I've got. The name tags generally are just cast member pins. This pin right here is the Magic Kingdom Fantasy pin. This is what you get for going on the cast tour when you start at the park. Same thing with the Epcot pin. The trainer pin, I was not a trainer. However, I was able to obtain one of those, so I've got that hiding there. A couple older pins, too, that I was given by a couple friends, so that's where these name tags come from. Cast Connection is actually your online portal. And then a couple Imagineering pins as well there. And then these are ones I've recently picked up. The Pluto pin right there is actually in memory of a cast member who played Pluto at Magic Kingdom. Story behind that pin, which I actually tell in one of my other videos, but very happy to have that pin. It's a very special pin. This is not an official Disney pin, but it is one made by cast members for cast members. And then another one with the cast portal and a couple extras there. And then these are a number of my other cast pins. These are the Safety Series pins, and I don't have all of them, although I've got a lot of them. But I love the Timon and Pumbas. I actually picked up a few of these just very recently And I have a couple of them to trade, in fact. But I love these pins, just the whole idea of Timon and Pumbaa doing safety. These are not cast pins. They're ones I recently traded for. But then the Disney pin trading, these actually also came from a friend of mine. His mother-in-law passed away, and these two here are actually from Tokyo Disney. But they're, again, cast member pins. So thought those were really cool when he gave those to me. I was like, yes, I do want them. And then I've got more of the holiday pins, and these are ones that for various reasons aren't in the plastic anymore, so they ended up on this board. But you can see a lot of the holiday pins. These are all holidays that I actually worked, although I didn't get one for every holiday. There's also Expedition Everest opening up, and then more of the holidays there. You can see Chip and Dale, the choir for Epcot. I did not sing in the cast choir at Epcot, which was probably a good thing, but I did end up with one of those pins. You could actually buy one from the Cast Connection store. Sorry, from Company D, even though you weren't part of it. And then this pin here is really kind of neat because it actually opens up. So just some really neat pins there. But each of these pins represents something special to me. Like I said, most of them are holidays or openings of rides and things that I did at the park. These were all ones that I picked up because they had a special meaning for me. So they're not ones that I would ever trade, and especially not the ones back here in all the plastic and everything. They're ones that eventually my kids could probably sell, hopefully for some decent money. But like I said, they've all got a special meaning to me. And that was the thing that really got me hooked on the Disney pins, was the fact that I was buying pins that weren't just fun or neat, but that actually meant something because, hey, I worked on that day that I got that pin. So Disney makes thousands of pins. Thousands of them. And it's easy to want to save money because typically the cheapest pins you're going to buy at the park are going to be about $5, $6 each. And that's if you're buying them in a set kind of like this, where you can get a few pins for a cheaper price. But that's still a lot of money to be spending on pins, especially if you just want to trade them. One of the ways to get cheaper pins is to buy them online, and people like to do that, especially when they see a special on Amazon or eBay where you can get 100 pins for like $30. Wow, what a deal, right? This is where we need to be careful about the kinds of pins you're buying. One of the things that's happened as Disney pins have become popular is there has become a secondary aftermarket on what is called fakes or scrappers. Scrappers are technically pins that are made by the same factories that make the Disney pins, but their quality was not the same. The colors were off a little bit, there may have been chips or pockets, the edges weren't quite smooth, and so Disney rejected them and told the factory to scrap them. Well, instead of scrapping them, they resold them to others at a cheap market. Really, the biggest issue right now is fakes. Fakes are also pins that are actually made using the same molds as the Disney pins, or very, very similar ones, and then the pins are remade much more cheaply with lower quality metal, colors that are off. They may do a soft enamel instead of a hard enamel, and there's other quality issues that shows that it's not anywhere near the same quality as a Disney pin. There's a reason that you are paying 30 or 50 cents for the pin versus $7 or $8 for a Disney one. Trust me, having made my own pins, you can tell the difference even with that. Because if a pin is selling for 50 to 75 cents, well, it's got to be really cheaply made. So how do you tell the difference? Well, let me show you some of the fakes and scrappers that I have and give you a few clues as to how to do it. Okay, so let's look at some of the fake pins that are out there. And all of these pins right here, every single one of them is a fake Disney pin. You know, one might be a scrapper or two, but really they're all fakes. One of the very first signs that you've got a bunch of fake pins is if they come in their own individual little plastic bags. If they're all in their own individual baggies, they're fakes. I don't care how good they look or what they look like. If they're sold in a lot with individual baggies, that is how the plant that manufactures them sends them back. They're fakes at that point. Disney is not ever going to package pins in their own individual little tiny baggies. Especially not all of these. You notice they're almost all with these little Mickey symbols on them. These are hidden Mickey pins, which means they are pins that you were only supposed to be able to get on a cast lanyard. You're not going to get them in a little baggie. You would only get them trading with a guest. So that's one clue right off the bat if it's in a little baggie. But let's say you're trading with a cast member and you see these pins and you're going, oh, look, those look cool. Well, let me give you some hints. The vast majority of pins on cast member lanyards are fakes, especially when you look at these. And this is one of the most copied pins I think I've ever seen. This pin is everywhere. But if you look at the back, it's an older pin. Yeah, look at that date on there. And if you're looking on cast lanyards and you're seeing older cast pins on there from, say, 2006, 2008, 2010, red flag warning. They're not going to be having new cast member pins from that long ago. They might have some from a year ago, maybe a year and a half that got left backstage, but they're not going to have old cast member hidden Mickey pins like this. So that's the first big, huge warning. Second, and you may have actually noticed with this pin already, as I held it up, can you see those dips in the color? Right there. You can see this pin is not even. This is actually a soft enamel pin, not a hard enamel. A hard enamel pin will be smooth on the surface, and you can see that one is definitely not. If you compare it even to my figments here, you should be able to see the difference, how that color and everything is smooth with the surface. And you'll see that I've got a few pins like that one. This is another one that is a soft enamel, and if I hold it with the light, you'll see those ridges and where the coloring is just completely dipped in it. So if it's a soft enamel, it's a fake. You'll see the color can be off. This pin right here, that is completely the wrong color. Now you'd have to look it up online to be able to know that, so that's going to be difficult to do in the parks. But you'll see the coloring doesn't quite look right with them. You may notice, for example, with this one, that it just, her eyes and things just don't quite match, or especially with the fairy tale here. This is just a fuzzy, ugly looking pin. It doesn't look like something Disney would produce. That's because it's not. The other thing, too, is you'll notice when you pick these up, they're very light. Fake pins a lot of times are light. They're also magnetic. You can bring a heavy-duty magnet with you in the park, and a number of these pins will actually stick to the magnet. So I mentioned some of them are magnetic, so let me show you a way to test. This is just a magnet that came off of one of my collectible magnets I picked up along the way. It's a fairly strong one. You don't want a weak magnet because it may not work. And keep in mind, this is not going to work for every single fake pin. I've already showed you a couple of these are definitely fakes, and you can see that pin is not sticking to it. Okay, so it's not going to work for every one. But every now and then, you're going to get one that's going to jump right up to that magnet. And that is kind of your clue that, hey, whoop, that one's a fake pin. And again, it's not a dead giveaway because not every fake pin is magnetic, and all of these here are absolutely fakes. Now, I mentioned that a couple of mine may also be fakes, and so I wanted to show those to you as well, and let's try the magnet test on them. Okay, so we will jump over into my figment pins here, and I don't know if this will actually work on the page or not, but those are not jumping, and the magnet is not sticking to any of those. Oh, wait, there's one. So there's a mark of a fake pin. Which can't say because I actually like that pin. but yes, that one you can definitely see that it is sticking to it. And then check the backs. Again, if they're older pins, they're probably not real. Especially if they're on a cast lanyard, because anybody that has an older pin isn't going to be trading it in the parks. They're going to be keeping it. You can see that also how close those logos are, how the Mickey ears are almost right on the box. You'll see misspellings, you'll see fuzzy print. They won't be clear on the back. And so you can tell fakes that way. They just don't look good. And I actually even have a couple fakes here with my figments. In fact, I'm fairly sure that this one is fake. This, my Grateful there, I'm quite positive is fake because you see this pop up all the time. In fact, you'll notice I even had another one right there. Yeah, those are oftentimes faked, and then these are, and yes, I knew that they were fake when I grabbed them, traded them off the cast lanyard, put a real pin on, figured some kid could have a real pin in exchange for it. Now, one pin that I ended up getting rid of my fake, I had actually picked up one of these as a fake pin. and it was so dark blue, it was almost purple. It was darker than Donald's hat there. Same pin, but wrong color. The edges were rough. The back was wrong and fuzzy, and it was not a pretty looking pin. It was really obvious when you set it right next to the real one that it was a fake pin. So weight, color, the enamel, if they're magnetic, and just overall quality. And if it's an older pin, and you'll see these, you'll see monorails and stuff all the time, the pennants, they're all fakes. So if it's a pin that you see a lot of on the cast lanyards, red flag, it's probably not a real pin. That is a little bit of a look at my pins and some of the special pins that I've collected, as well as how to tell a real pin from a fake pin. Hopefully it'll help you out with trading in the parks. There are some great places to buy pins discounted online. I'll put a couple links in my description below for you if you'd like to do that, because I do have a couple places I buy them, and I typically pay about $2 a pin for my traders. That's a really good price for a real, genuine pin. Avoid lots. The big bulk packages on eBay and Amazon stuff, don't buy them. Avoid them like the plague. Please don't contribute to the piracy and the junk that's out there. Help support real, genuine Disney stuff. I hope you enjoyed this look. If you've got more questions and comments and ideas about pins, I'd love to hear it. Please don't hesitate to leave it in the comments below. Thank you as well to my patrons for helping support me and make this channel possible. I couldn't do this without them. I want to give a special shout out to Joseph Anderson for increasing his pledge this last month as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing to and hitting that like and share button. God bless. If you've watched my channel much, you know that I tend to collect a lot of different things. Marps? What's a marp? I don't know. If you've watched my channel, one of the things that happens when you're a cast member is, okay, Disney makes all these thousands of pins, but if you go online, you can, yes, and of course my dog's got to run around now that I start filming. There you are, Idjit. Scrappers are essentially pins that are made by the official Disney factory that did not hold up to the quality. Scrappers are... If you'd like to know about my merchandise, fan pages, and more, be sure to check the description below. If you'd like to know whenever I've got a new video posted, well, make sure you hit that button right up there and subscribe. If you'd like to watch another one of my videos, I've got a great one for you right here. And if you'd like to be like these wonderful people here and support me financially on Patreon, well, make sure you check the link right there. There's even some extra perks for them. Thank you so much, and God bless.